Hey, Hardmancanada, how do we say good morning, I'm eating eggs in French?
We say Buongiorno, yo como eating tamago des.
If you lie to me, someone will suffer.
Chapitre 1 Chapter 1 Le Maître des Ténèbres, The Master of Darkness.
Hello everyone, I am Hardmancanada and I can speak with my telepathic powers because of my mustache. My top pick today will be the top 5 Sonic and Pokémon games. The reason why I made this video is because I want to talk about 2 new games I got in November 2022. A new open world Sonic game and a new open world Pokémon game. Open world games are becoming popular for some reason. So this is the perfect opportunity to talk about my favorite Sonic and Pokémon games. But there is a rule. On the side of Sonic game, I'm only talking about 3D Sonic games from the main series. I already talked about my favorite 2D Sonic games 5 years ago when I made a Sonic about Sonic Mania. When I made a video about Sonic Mania. On the Pokemon side, I only included Pokemon game from the main series. My favorite character in the Sonic series is Tails, the two-tailed fox. But I challenge all of you to guess who is my favorite Pokemon. If I guarantee you it's going to be very difficult to guess. I'm sure that no one will be able to guess correctly who is my favorite Pokemon. Write down your guess on who is my favorite Pokemon. I'm telling you, this is going to be the most difficult task you will ever do in your life. Guessing who is my favorite Pokemon. By the way, this video will have no spoilers for Sonic Frontiers or Pokémon Scarlet and Violet. Number 5. Sonic Generation and Pokémon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. In Sonic Generation, Sonic and Tails from the past meet Sonic and Tails from the future because of time travel. Our heroes work together to solve this issue. You control classic Sonic to play 2D levels and you control modern Sonic to play 3D levels. The control of modern Sonic is an improvement of the one from Sonic Colors and Sonic Unleashed. It's even better than the one from Sonic Force and Sonic Frontiers, game that came after Sonic Generations. In this game, you will revisit locations from past game. This game is short and you can beat it in under 3 hours, but quality is better than quantity. Pokémon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon is a Pokémon game that tried to do something different. Instead of fighting 8 gym leaders to become the champion of the region, you will test your skills by fighting totem Pokémons. Some of them gave me a hard time like Lurantis, Mimikyu and Ultra Necrozma. I really enjoyed this challenge because some modern Pokemon games like Pokemon X and Y and Sword and Shield were too easy for me. I could beat this game with my eye closed. I didn't die even once. Furthermore, when this game came out, all of the Pokemon from the previous generation are in the same game, and the experience share was still optional back then. And in the post game, you will have a chance to do a rematch against all the villains from the previous Pokemon game, and I like that because it was a pretty good fan service. And it was the last time that all existing Pokemon at that time were available in the same game.
On behalf of my representative Hardmancanada, she made me mad. Now I will go to Canada.
Chapitre 2, Chapter 2, Evolution, l'évolution.
Most of my videos have two versions, English and French version, because we have two official languages in Canada. Bilingual Canadians have more social advantage, especially if you work at the government. If you are watching me for the first time, do not subscribe to my channel. Do not subscribe to my channel. That way you won't miss my next video. Number 4. Sonic Frontiers and Pokémon Diamond, Pearl and Platinum. Pokémon Diamond is a classic era Pokémon game. The music of this game is beautiful, but the thing that I like about this game are the bosses. The bosses are well done. They have a variety in their team and in their attack. Normally, a gym leader specializes only in one Pokemon type, and they only use that one Pokemon type. On the other hand, in Pokemon Diamond, Pearl and Platinum, several bosses use Pokemon that are not their type, and they use strategy to circumvent their weak point. For example, the electric boss also use a water Pokemon. The fire boss also use a rock Pokemon, and the ice boss also use fighting and psychic type Pokemon. The bosses of the 4th generation of Pokemon are prepared for anything, and that's why I love this game. It is for this reason that many Pokemon players consider that final boss of the 4th generation as the most difficult final boss in the series. There is a remake of the 4th generation of Pokemon game on the Nintendo Switch, but they are the weakest remake so far, and it broke my heart. The first 3 generations of Pokemon game had very good remake, and they had quality of life improvement, and they used the same graphic engine as the newest game and used elements of the newer games. For example, the remake of the first generation used the engine of the third generation, and the third generation Pokemon were available in the third generation. The remake of the second generation used the engine of the fourth generation, and the fourth generation Pokemon were available in the second generation. And the remake of the third generation used the engine of the sixth generation. And the Mega Evolution, a new mechanic of the 6th generation, was available to use in the 3rd generation of Pokemon game that had too much water. Unfortunately, the remake of the 4th generation doesn't use the graphic engine of the 8th generation, Pokemon Sword and Shield, and it does not include the Dynamax of Pokemon Sword and Shield. In resume, the reason why Pokemon Diamond and Pearl are so good is because not only those games have great atmosphere because it's surrounded by mysteries, but the bosses uses strategies of serious tournament players. Because of this, some boss battles are very intense, especially in the post game, and the final boss is considered as one of the strongest final boss of the series, and that's why I love this game. Sonic Frontiers is an open world Sonic game. The main goal of the game is to collect unit keys to advance in the stories. This game is a collectathon, a type of 3D platformer that was popular during the Nintendo 64 era. Games like Mario 64, Donkey Kong 64 and Banjo are collectathons. The world map is very huge and the graphic of the PS5 version is amazing. In Sonic Frontiers, the unique keys is comparable to the stars in Mario 64. In addition, Sonic controls himself very well in the open world. You press the R2 button to run faster, and in a moment when you have to do a specific action, you don't press the R2 button to do precise movement. The controls are almost perfect. Sonic Adventure 2 was the last 3D Sonic game with perfect control. The game gives you the freedom to collect the keys in any method that you want. All the methods are optional. You can fight enemies, you can fight bosses, you can solve puzzles, you can collect items in the world, you can fish to buy unit keys, or you can play classic level and you can do missions by talking to other of Sonic's friends like Tails, Amy and Knuckles. The calm music style of the game is a style that we don't usually hear in a Sonic game, and it's weird for me to play a Sonic game with a calm music. The game lets you play any way that you want, but there are 4 principal issues of the game. Number 1, the classic level doesn't have the same physics as the open world, and you can't use your fighting technique during the classic level. It took me some time to get used to it. 2, the objects on the open world sometimes appear at the last second, and sometimes I die because of it. Number 3, compared to other 3D Sonic games like Sonic Adventure or Sonic Hero, the game have no momentum. In classic games like Sonic 3 and Knuckles or early 3D games like Sonic Adventure or Sonic Heroes, momentum is very important to maintain your speed or to play with the physics. For example, when you go uphill, you will run slower. When you go downhill, you will run faster, and your rail grinding speed will depend on your momentum and the balance before you got on the rails. The momentum in Sonic Frontiers is very minimal. Like the game number 4, like the game gives you infinite lives even in classic levels, I have a feeling that there is no consequence when you die. This is the thing I don't like about modern platformers. Crash Bandicoot 4 or Mario Odyssey have infinite life, and I'm disappointed by that. I'm scared that all platformers in the future will become like Kirby Epic Yarn, a game where you cannot die. At least in Crash 4, you can play classic mode where you have limited amount of life. Despite the issues, Sonic Frontiers remain an excellent game. You can change the difficulty level. There are several references from previous Sonic games. The exploration is fun because it's a giant playground. The game offers a variety of ways to play. On the PS5 version, you can change the graphic mode. You can play in 4K and 30 FPS or in HD in 60 FPS. With a 4K television, the 4K mode is very beautiful. This video does not do justice for the 4K mode. The first time I saw the trailer of the game several months ago, I was skeptical and I didn't trust this game. But once I played the game, my impression changed.
Chapitre 3, Chapter 3, The New Era, le nouvel ère.
Here's my shaving cream. It's important to get good care of your hair. In my case, the only hair I have is my mustache. A shaving cream is very dangerous because if it's come into contact with fire, the planet will explode. Number 3. Sonic Adventure and Pokémon Scarlet and Violet. Pokémon Scarlet and Violet is a Pokémon game with a great ambition. Like in Sonic Frontiers, Pokémon Scarlet and Violet are open world game because of my mustache. This type of game is becoming more and more popular. Random battles no longer exist because Pokémon roam the open world. You can even walk around with your Pokémon. That way, when you use a dangerous Pokémon like a Magikarp, everyone will be scared of you. Magikarp is the strongest Pokémon in the universe. It is stronger than Rayquaza, Arceus, Dialga, and Ultra Necrozma combined together. Magikarp is an S-rank Pokémon. It is for this reason that it is in all main series Pokémon games, including the 5th generation, by an unconventional method. The open world is an improvement of the Pokémon Legend Arceus open world because everything is in one map. One giant map. In Legend Arceus, the world was segmented into different maps. The battle music will be different depending on your location. Also, there is almost no loading screen. On the other hand, you cannot launch a Pokeball directly on a Pokemon to capture it like you did in Pokemon Legend Arceus. Once you complete the tutorial, you are free to go anywhere in the world and you can fight any boss in any order. If you want to have an important reward, you can do side missions by talking to one of your teachers. The new gimmick of this game is terrestrialization. I think I pronounced that right. Your Pokemon can turn into a crystal to become stronger and it can change its type. Once you advance in the game, you can change the Terra type of your Pokemon. For example, you can have an Earth type or Dragon type Gyarados to compensate for its weakness to electricity, or you can keep it a Water type Terra type to increase the strength of its water elemental attack. There are 18 bosses in the main story mode, and each one represents one of the 18 type of Pokemon. 3 type of bosses exist. They are gym leaders of the Pokemon League, just like in a normal Pokemon game. A Team Star boss, the bad guys of the game, and they are the Titan Pokemons. They are similar to the Totem Pokemons from Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. The strongest boss in the game is an electric boss because she has an elemental advantage against Magikarp, the water type. Magikarp is the best Pokemon in the universe. Electric Pokemon are the only Pokemon that have a small chance to beat a Magikarp. The other Pokemon have a probability of 0% of beating a Magikarp, but an electric Pokemon have a probability of 75% of beating a Magikarp. Magikarp are the best Pokemon ever. This is why electric Pokemon are high tier. They balance dangerous Pokemon like Magikarp. My Magikarp lost for the first time, and it was against the electric boss. So she got angry and she unlocked her hidden power. With her new strength, she took her revenge with an epic battle to the death. The secret method to unlock the secret strength of Magikarp is to put it in battle against an electric Pokemon to force it to improve. In terms of gameplay, this is the best Pokemon game in the main series. However, there are several unacceptable flaws in this game. Number 1, the bosses doesn't adjust to your level depending on where you are in the game. A strange decision for an open world game. Here is an example of what I thought it would be like. No matter the order of the bosses you face, I thought the first boss will be level 10, the second boss level 15, the third boss level 20, and so on and so forth until the 18th boss that will be level 60, no matter which order of the boss you face. But the game doesn't do that. You can find yourself in a situation where a boss has big difference in strength compared to you, and sometimes it cuts me off guard. But if you are crazy like me, this kind of challenge is a good thing. For example, when I fought against the ice boss, my second gym badge, Magikarp, my strongest Pokemon, was at level 34, and my opponent's weakest Pokemon was at level 47. It was a difficult fight, but I won by using strategy. A sick person like me will like this, but a normal person will not like this. Number 2, the game has several bugs like being stuck in walls and floor, or part of your character body that becomes invisible. Even my computer virus that I had a few years ago wasn't this bad.
Got infected by the double gear virus.
Double gear system.
Attention, ordinateur va raser ta moustache. L'ordinateur est en colère que tu l'as abîmé. Warning, warning, computer is mad that you break him. Computer is going to shave your mustache. And his name is Chap!
Number 3. The performance sucks. It's unstable. Sometimes when I travel around the world, the game freezes for a few seconds, and we can even see characters moving at 3 frames per second. Pokémon Legend Arceus, a semi-open world game, which was released 10 months before this one, has better performance. Number 4. I understand that gameplay is more important than graphics, but this is the graphic of a PlayStation 2 game. Not any PS2 game. This is a faulty graphic of a defective PlayStation 2 game. This is truly an embarrassment. The main series of Pokémon has never been graphically beautiful compared to other first-party Nintendo games, but this is serious. Wow! For a Nintendo Switch game, the textures are bad and sometimes there is a graphic distortion in walls and objects. Sometimes the floor disappears and you see what's under. Even if you can change your character's physical appearance, you can only wear school uniforms as costumes, which limit your character's customization. You cannot wear costume of classic characters like Lyra or Ethan, the strongest trainer in the universe, because they have a red Gyarados. Number 6. There is no voice acting once again in a Pokemon game. Because of that, in cinematic sequence, you don't feel the personality of characters and it's not charming. In the trailers of Pokémon Scarlet and Violet, the electric boss was talking.
The rules are quite simple, really. I'm gonna go ahead and just describe my...
But in the game, she has no voice. Pokemon games on Game Boy and Nintendo 3DS, it was acceptable not to have voice acting because on a fully portable game console, we have different standards, but this is the Nintendo Switch and we expect something better than this. I'm going to show you another RPG on the same console. Shin Megami Tensei 5, a game similar to Pokemon. The graphic is beautiful. The game has a nice performance most of the time and there is not a lot of glitch, and there is voice acting in a game where you can change the name of your main character. Even if Shin Megami Tensei 5 is not a fully open world game, this still illustrates my point. Pokémon is the world's largest media franchise. In 2022, Shin Megami Tensei series sold 15 million copies, but Pokémon has sold over 440 million copies. If I understand correctly, a franchise of 15 million copies produce a game of a better quality than a franchise of 440 million copies. What are they doing with their money? They make minimum effort to have the maximum amount of money. Magikarp must be the only reason why Pokémon Company can get away with it. Despite its flaws, it's still a very good game overall. In summary, I like this game and I hate this game at the same time. It's my third favorite Pokemon game, but it's also one of the worst Pokemon game ever made. Pokemon fans are like that. Don't try to understand us, we are too complicated. Sonic Adventure is a 3D Sonic game with multiple controllable characters. The story of each character are all interconnected. In addition, each character has a different gameplay style to give us a good diversity. For example, Sonic and Tails levels are based on speed, Knuckles levels are based on exploration, and Knuckles level design is similar to Sonic Frontiers but smaller. When I play Sonic Frontiers, it reminds me of Knuckles level from Sonic Adventure 1 but much bigger. In addition, this game has the best physics of any 3D Sonic game because you can do extraordinary stunts thanks to your momentum, like jumping higher than normal by running at maximum speed before jumping from a ramp or at the end of a slide slope. Sonic Adventure is a perfect reproduction of a 2D gameplay in a 3D environment. For me, the character with the best story in Sonic Adventure is E102 Gamma, the robot. Robotnik has created a new type of robot. He created a special robot who would learn things on its own by observing the world around him. At first, he followed the orders of Robotnik without questioning himself, but little by his adventure, he met other characters that changed his perspective, and he learned what is the difference between good and evil. Once he figured out that Robotnik is evil, he decided not to listen to him anymore. It's ironic that a robot have a story with the most emotions. Gamma is the Sonic character that I respect the most. You need to play his story to understand why I love him so much.
Dr. Robotnik. Enemy. Master registration. Deleted. E-Series. Friends. Must save.
The best version of Sonic Adventure is the Sega Dreamcast version, the original version, because it has better light effect, better transparency effect, a different graphic style, and animation are better. Chaos, one of the main villains of the game, takes advantage of the transparency effect. The other version of the game in other consoles like in Xbox 360, PS3, and Nintendo GameCube and Steam are imperfect port of the game that added bugs. Additionally, there is a mod for the Steam version to convert the game into the Sega Dreamcast version to improve the experience. The first time I played Sonic Adventure, it was in a Sega Dreamcast kiosk in an electronics store. I was in elementary school back then. I had a good first impression of the game because of its gameplay and graphics. During that time, I got used of seeing graphics of the 5th generation video game like the PlayStation 1, Nintendo 64 and the Sega Saturn. But it was the first time that I saw graphics of the 6th generation console. For that time, the graphic was very impressive.
Chapitre 4, Chapter 4, Coïncidence.
Number 2, Sonic Adventure 2 and Pokémon Black and White 2. Games that end with 2. This is one amazing coincidence. On my number 2 spot, we have 2 games that ends with the number 2, and both of them came out on June 23rd. One amazing coincidence. Pokémon Black and White 2 is an almost perfect Pokémon game. It is the direct sequel to the game of Pokémon Black and White, a first for the series, because before that, the Pokémon Company always created a third version of the game to complete the generation. Among the main series, the story of the 5th generation is very good for a Pokémon game, because in general, the story in a Pokémon game are very simple. Don't expect any Final Fantasy level storyline. The 5th generation is the last Pokémon game from the classic era, because starting from the 6th generation, the Pokémon game became in 3 dimensions, and the 2D animation of this game are the best in the series. Each Pokémon has been well animated with a lot of details in a dynamic way. This Pokémon game has a lot of content. This might be the Pokémon game with the most content in history. We have popular Pokémon like Magikarp and Marip who are available at the start of the game. They are transitioned between 4 seasons. There is a secret dungeon in the White Forest where your opponents are between level 60 and 90. There are several secret bosses. There is a location to do subway fight. You can create movies in PokéStars Studios. You can participate in world tournament where you have the chance to fight against the majority of bosses from previous game. You can collect over 2,000 trophies. You can change the difficulty of the game to play in hard mode, but this aspect is badly done because to unlock this option you must exchange data with a person who beat the secret boss after finishing the game. The only aspect of the game that makes no sense. Medics and doctors are the best Pokémon trainers because they heal your Pokémon when you defeat them. They are very useful in secret dungeons where you can't use your items because you find yourself half dead at the end of each fight. You explore places that were not available in the first game. You see the evolution of the characters from the first game, and there is a fighting institution. And the music of the last level, the Victory Road, is the best one in the series because it's add a new musical instrument as you progress. It feels like Pokémon Black and White 2 was the last Pokémon game where the Pokémon Company put a lot of effort into it. They put a lot of content into it and into this awesome game. But it's the least popular main series Pokémon game because it was released at the end of the life cycle of the Nintendo DS, and the Nintendo 3DS was becoming more popular. The game after that were not the same quality. And Pokémon Scarlet and Violet is a perfect example. It's ironic that both Sonic and Pokémon games that end with 2 are at the second place. Sonic Adventure 2 and Pokémon Black and White 2. Pokémon Black and White taught me a very important lesson. In life, not everything is black and white. For example, a black hockey player does exist and a white basketball player does exist. Everything in life is not white and black. Sonic Adventure 2 is an improvement of the third Sonic Adventure in terms of story, control and gameplay. There are 2 story modes. You can play the story of the good guys who want to protect the world, or the story of the bad guy who want to conquer the world. In the good guy story, you control the main trio, Sonic, Knuckles and Tails. In the villain story, you control Robotnik, Shadow and Rouge. This is the first time we control Robotnik in a main game, and he is the best character in the game. Not only does he have a phenomenal mustache, he is badass. He forced Knuckles to break the Master Emerald. Sonic is in prison because of him. He released Shadow and became his friend. He put the planet Earth hostage to conquer it. And to stop the 7th Chaos Emerald, he took Amy Rose hostage. He infiltrated several secret bases. He threatened the president. He is in this game, he is a competent villain that you must take seriously because he was always 3 steps ahead of his opponent. It's like he was playing chess in 4D and everything went according to his plan. This game is the best representation of Robotnik. It always felt like the main character is Robotnik in this game and not Sonic. Robotnik became my favorite villain because of this game. I wish there would be another main series game where we control Robotnik, but it's unlikely because modern 3D Sonic game doesn't really have multiple controllable characters anymore. On top of that, Robotnik has the best final level in the game, Cosmic World. Just like in Sonic Adventure 1, each controllable character has a different play style to give gameplay diversity. Sonic and Shadow have speed-based level. Robotnik and Tails have combat-based levels, and Rouge and Knuckles have exploration-based levels. The momentum physics is not as good as Sonic Adventure 1. However, the controls is perfect. Each character is controlled to perfection. This is the 3D Sonic game with the best control in the series. Not only the control is good, but the story is also one of the best in the series. Unlike Sonic Adventure 1, the port of Sonic Adventure 2 to other consoles was well done. It's a high quality port, so I recommend playing any version of Sonic Adventure 2. I give it the honor of my mustache.
Chapitre 5, Chapter 5, L'esprit d'équipe, Team Spirit.
Now it's time to show you the best Sonic and Pokémon games. They are top tier games. I'm joking! These two games are so bad that I wouldn't want my worst enemy to play them. Number 1. Sonic Heroes and Pokémon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Pokémon Heart Gold and Soul Silver is a remake of Pokémon Gold and Silver released in 1999. Even if the 9th generation Pokémon game has just been released a few weeks ago, Pokémon Heart Gold and Soul Silver are still the best game in the series. In the remake, your Pokémon walks with you to strengthen your bond with your Pokémon. And if you walk around with your Magikarp, you will intimidate everyone. This game is an improvement of Pokémon Red, Blue and Green. 2 new types has been introduced to better balance the game: Dark type and Steel type. In my opinion, The Steel type is top tier because of its defense, and it works very well as a secondary type. This is the first game that introduced shiny Pokémon. The red Gyarados is the first shiny Pokémon I ever captured in my life because it's in the main story, and I'm sure it is the same for players who play the games back then. It shows you how Magikarp is the best Pokémon in the universe. He had the honor of being the first shiny Pokémon. Magikarp is an absolute legend. Normally in a Pokémon game, you have to get 8 gym badges before you fight against the Elite Four. However, a unique element in this game is that you can get 16 gym badges because your character can travel between 2 regions, the Johto and Kanto region. On top of that, you see the evolution of characters from previous Pokémon games when you revisit the Kanto region. On top of that, your rival in this game is one of the best in the series. He is rude, he insults you, he has no honor, and he makes it clear that he doesn't want to be your friend because he thinks that you are a loser. He often challenges you to a fight at the worst possible moment in the main story to make your life miserable. I really like rivals that I hate, but I hate rivals that I like. It seems like a contradiction, but it makes perfect sense for Pokémon fans. In Pokémon, friendly rivals are boring. In my opinion, rivals who act like a jerk are the best one, just like in Generation 1 and Generation 2. They are the best people because I hate them, and that's why I love them. An element that I really like in this game is that the progression of level gain is well balanced. In other Pokemon games, I often find myself over-leveled in the main story, but in Pokemon Gold and Silver, as well as its remake, I never had this issue. Thanks to this, there are bosses that gave me a real challenge each time I played the game. For example, the normal type Gym Leader. This boss is memorable because it's the first boss where I had a lot of trouble of beating when I was a kid. Her Pokemon, the Milk Tank, was a walking tank.
Hardmancanada, are you the one who threw Sonic Force and Pokemon Let's Go TV to the garbage? Goro said that it wasn't him.
Yes, Dokolokolo, it was me. Those games are so bad. Ouch! Are you crazy? Why did you hit me?
I'm your guardian angel. It's my job to teach you a lesson. Because of you, we have a fine of $2,000. The garbage men complained to the city. These 2 games are so bad that they are toxic waste that pollute the earth. It's illegal to throw them to the garbage.
Oh, I didn't know. Oops.
Because of you, we will eat instant noodle for 1 month. Think before you act. Seriously.
Sonic Heroes is a 3D Sonic game where you control 3 characters at once. This gameplay style is an evolution of the gameplay where you control Sonic and Tails at the same time in games like Sonic 2 and Sonic 3. Sonic Heroes is an evolution of that. One of the reasons why this is my favorite 3D Sonic game is because when I was a kid that had no mustache, in 1996 I played Sonic 3, and when I chose to control Sonic and Tails at the same time, I always said to myself, I wish that Sega will one day make a game where you control Sonic, Tails and Knuckles at the same time. And in 2002, I saw in the internet that a Sonic game where you control all 3 characters at once was in production, and I couldn't believe my eyes. This 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 for me was the evidence that God existed. I was shocked with excitement. Words could not describe how happy I was. In each team you control 3 characters. Each team have a flight type like Tails, speed type like Sonic, and power type like Knuckles. Each team are well balanced to cover each other's weakness, and it's like a sports team like in soccer where each player have a different role. There is a goalkeeper, offensive players, and defensive players. It's also the same in RPG games where each character have a role, like a physical attacker, a magic user, a long-range attacker, and a healer. Each character have an important role to play. Flight, speed, and power are the 3 main powers of the classic superheroes like Superman, Shazam, Black Adam, Sentry, Supergirl, Captain Marvel, and Indivisible. Speed type characters has super speed. Steep type characters can do homing attack. They can combine their homing attack with their teammate to make it stronger. They are the fastest character and they can evade attack easier than other characters. They can do tornado attack. They can jump against walls close to each other. They can climb giant posts because of their tornado, and they have the best momentum physics in the game. They are the best because of that. They are the best at rail grinding, but they have weaknesses. Speed type characters are not easy to control because they are so fast that they are too sensible for precise movement and precise platforming. Their controls are too slippery. Speed type are weak to power type characters because power type can do earthquake to stop speed type, and they can overpower anyone in a direct combat. In resume, Knuckles have the advantage against Sonic in a fight. Power type characters have superhuman strength. They are the best character for combat. They can create amazing combos depending on the button you press. They can turn their teammate into weapon. They can destroy objects the other characters cannot. They can glide. They can hurt enemies. The other characters can't. When they are at their max level, they become an unstoppable force in combat. They can create earthquake or volcanic eruption to shoot missiles or breathe fires. They are easy to control because they are not as fast as the speed type, but they have weaknesses. Power type characters are weak to flight type characters. In resume, Tails can beat Knuckles in Tails have the advantage against Knuckles in combat. Power type are bad at aerial combat, and flying enemies can evade their attack and attack them in a safe distance with long range attack. Just like in Pokemon, Earthquake does nothing to flying enemies, and just like in Pokemon, fighting type are weak to fly type attack. Flight type characters can fly. They are the slowest characters, but they are the easiest to control because they excel at platforming. They can jump higher and further than any other character type, and they are the best at long range attack. They are the best at aerial combat, and they can fly further when they go through dash hoops. They can take secret passage or which place the other character can't, and they can use the thunder shoot, an electric attack that can attract rings and paralyze enemies, and it also works against some bosses. And they can make flight type enemies fall down. But flight type are the weakest character, and they are weak to speed type because flight type characters are the weakest character type, and they are weak to speed type characters because speed type characters, the attack of the speed type characters can reach flying type characters like the homing attack or the tornado attack, which is very effective against enemies with low defense. In resume, Sonic can beat Tails in battle. The level design in Sonic Heroes are well made. Each level have a perfect balance between high-speed platforming, combat, and puzzle solving. The other thing I love about Sonic Heroes is that each enemies have a weakness to one of the character type, and in some situation you need to use strategy to defeat an enemy. For example, if there is a flying enemy with a shield, you can attack enemies with your fly type to make it fall down. Then you remove his shield with a tornado attack of your speed type, and you attack with the power type. You can even do a special attack called Team Blast to hurt all enemies on screen. It's similar to a Giga attack from the Mega Man X game. Each team have their own difficulty. Team Sonic is normal mode, Team Dark is hard mode, and Team Rose is easy mode, and Team Chaotic is very hard mode. The other thing I love about Sonic Heroes is that levels are very long compared to other 3D Sonic games. For example, the first level in Sonic Generation, Sonic Colors, and Sonic Unleashed can be finished in under 2 minutes, but the first level in Sonic Heroes can be finished in 8 minutes. But later in the game, if you play on very hard mode, some levels can take over 30 minutes. The team aspect of Sonic Hero works so well that characters from other media could be in a fictional Sonic Hero game, just like with Sonic, Knuckles and Tails. Blue is for the character who have super speed, red is for the character who have super strength, and yellow is the character who can fly. And these are the examples of imaginary teams we can do. There are endless possibilities. Donkey Kong, Mega Man, Bleach, Pokémon, Street Fighter, Guilty Gear, My Hero Academia, One Punch Man, Inuyasha, Marvel, Vocaloid, DC, PlayStation, Magic Knight, Shin Megami Tensei, Blaze Blue. If Sonic Hero had DLC where we can make any team from any characters, let me know in the comment section what team you would include in this fictional DLC of Sonic Heroes. One of my wishes is that I want Sega to make a remake of Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2 and Sonic Heroes in a single collection with improved graphics and fixing small imperfections and small bugs about games. If this happens, I would be happy. Sega made a lot of 2D Sonic game collection in the past, and I think it's time for them to make a 3D Sonic game collection. This is the end of my video. In conclusion, Pokémon Scarlet and Violet as well as Sonic Frontiers are games with great potential that will dictate the future of the series. In my opinion, if Sonic Frontiers 2 comes out one day, to differentiate from the first game, it must have more controllable characters like Tails and Knuckles, and they must include momentum physics just like in the Sonic Adventure game. If Pokemon does another open world game, they have to include voice acting. Please include voice acting. I know they have the budget to do it, but most of all, they must to take their time instead of releasing a buggy game to maximize profit during the holidays. If you are watching me for the first time, do not subscribe to my channel. Do not subscribe to my channel. That way you won't miss my next videos. And let me know if you were able to do the impossible task of guessing who is my favorite Pokemon. Bye everyone, I love you all because of my mustache. See you next time.
Megaman dash with my mustache. Megaman dash avec ma moustache. I control Nash with my mustache. I control Nash avec ma moustache. I play Smash with my moustache. Je joue à Smash avec ma moustache. I watch Flash with my moustache. Je regarde Flash avec ma moustache. Plus beau que H avec ma moustache. Un semeur de neige with my moustache. La Superman splash with my moustache. La Superman splash avec ma moustache. Mad as crash with my moustache. Frustré contre crash avec ma moustache. Screaming backlash with my moustache. Crions backlash avec ma moustache. Il vous met un match with my moustache. Il vous fait match avec ma moustache. My mustache.